You've probably heard stories about rideshare drivers picking up strange passengers, but most of those are just fiction. This one isn't. It happened to me, and I'll never drive at night again. It was a Wednesday, around 11:45 p.m. I was finishing up my shift for the night, debating whether to take one last ride or head home. That's when a ping came through. A pickup just a few miles away. The profile said, Maria, and the destination was a rural address about 20 minutes out of town. I pulled up to the pickup spot, a dimly lit bus stop on the edge of the city. At first, I didn't see anyone, but as I rolled down my window to check the GPS again, she appeared. She seemed to come out of nowhere. A woman in her mid-20s, wearing a pale dress that looked soaked from the rain, though it hadn't rained in days. Maria, I called out. She nodded silently, and got into the back seat. She didn't say a word, just stared out the window. Her hair was stringy and damp, clinging to her face, and her skin was so pale it was almost translucent. I tried to make small talk, but she didn't respond. Just kept staring, her eyes unfocused, like she was looking through me. The drive was unnervingly quiet. The GPS took me down a winding country road, the kind that's pitch black except for the headlights. Trees loomed on either side, their branches clawing at the sky. The farther we went, the more uneasy I felt. Halfway through the trip, I glanced in the rearview mirror to check on her. She was staring straight at me, her face blank, but her eyes were wrong. They didn't reflect the light from the dashboard. They were just empty, hollow. Everything okay back there? I asked, forcing a nervous laugh. She tilted her head, slowly, like she didn't understand the question. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, she said, You shouldn't have picked me up. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? Her gaze shifted back to the window. He's following us. I looked in the rearview mirror again, this time at the road behind me. There was nothing but darkness. Who's following us? I asked, my voice shaking now. She didn't answer. She just started humming, a low, eerie tune that sent chills down my spine. My hands gripped the steering wheel tighter, and I pressed the gas pedal a little harder. The GPS finally announced we were close to the destination. It was a small, run-down farmhouse at the end of a gravel driveway. But as I pulled up, my headlights illuminated the house, and it was abandoned. The windows were boarded up, and the door hung off its hinges, swinging slightly in the breeze. This is the address, I said, turning around to face her. But the back seat was empty. My blood ran cold. I hadn't heard the door open. The seatbelt she had been wearing was still buckled. I jumped out of the car, my flashlight in hand, and searched the area, calling her name. There was no sign of her. When I checked the rideshare app, her trip was no longer listed. No profile, no record of the ride, like it had never existed. I didn't sleep that night. The next day, I told a friend about what happened. He went pale and told me that years ago, a woman named Maria had been hit by a car at that same bus stop. She was on her way home to the farmhouse I'd driven to. The driver left her for dead, and her body wasn't found until days later. People say she still waits for a ride to get home. I deleted the app the next day. I'll never pick up another passenger again.